Yo, what's going on? My name is Shannon Williams and I am the creator of Mark Out, the wrestling trading card game that'll be coming to you very soon. I decided it probably makes sense for me to come on here, make a video, and let you all know a little bit about me, some of my experience, and also what I'm working on currently. So first of all, I grew up a huge wrestling fan. I actually keep a lot of pictures of myself. So here's a picture of my goofy looking self back at WrestleMania 23. With a picture I drew of Batista and Undertaker, because of course I was a ruthless aggression child, and Batista was my favorite wrestler. I started watching wrestling in probably about 2006, like right after WrestleMania 21 is when I started watching. My younger brother had always watched, he'd always been into the action figures, the pay-per-views, everything, and he got me into it. And when he got me into it, it was a wrap. I fell in love with the visuals, the lighting, the fireworks, the pyro, the entrances, the theme songs, storyline, all of it. I got introduced to wrestling video games. In particular, the first video game I got introduced to was SmackDown Shut Your Mouth. Now, a lot of you might know about this game. I hope you do, at least if you're watching this, but that game was one of my favorite games to play as a kid. I didn't know who any of the wrestlers were at that time because, like I said, I didn't start watching until like 2006. But when I started playing the game, I just remember getting all of these feelings of excitement. Like, man, I'm actually having fun beating somebody up inside of a boiler room or whatever the room was with the emergency lights and the gate that could come down the parking lot. Seeing Christian, that was the first wrestler who I saw in the video game. I'm like, that's fire. He came out, he had the mesh shirt with the Christian and the pyro coming down and all of that stuff. And I just thought that was amazing. And that really just spawned my love for wrestling games and wrestling video games, and it never stopped. It kept growing. So every year I decided I had to get a wrestling game. I started my first wrestling game that I owned, I started with WrestleMania 21 on the Xbox. And you couldn't tell me anything. I thought this was the best game ever. It had all of my favorite wrestlers that I was watching on TV at that time: Batista, Randy Orton, Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio. It had all the villains, JBL. Randy Orton was a villain at the time too, but it had everybody. And it had Hell in a Cell, the cage match, the soundtrack. It's what got me into that type of music. And I just remember always playing that game and creating things in it. Like at that time, TNA had really just blown up. So I just love keeping my stuff, and this is the first time I get to show it. But I got this. This is my first ever wrestling magazine I had with Samoa Joe on the cover. This is the time where Samoa Joe was a killer in TNA, X Division champion. He would put wrestlers' heads up against the barricade and just kick it, and they'd be leaking and all that stuff. And he would wipe their blood with his towel and wear it the next week. It was insane. And I just remember creating all of the wrestlers from TNA on that game. And it really just kept going. So from WrestleMania 21, I got SmackDown vs. Raw 2006. I remember expressing my disappointment because they didn't have it on the Xbox or the Xbox 360 at the time. And I didn't have a PlayStation 2. I had a PSP. So I had to get the game for the PSP, and it just wasn't the same experience that I was hoping it would be. Having it in my bedroom and playing the game and having Batista come out with his fireworks with the machine gun, it just wasn't what it was. SmackDown vs. Raw 7, GOAT game, like one of the best of all time to me. That came out on the 360, it looked beautiful, it played beautiful, had a cool storyline, GM mode, all of that stuff. And then SmackDown vs. Raw 2009. And this is where I think I really figured out what I wanted to do for the foreseeable future as far as video games went and wrestling games and everything. Because I remember in TNA, Christian was the man. You know, at the time, Christian was the man in TNA. And he wasn't in the SmackDown vs. Raw roster for 2009. He was getting ready to come back. I can't remember if he just came back or if he was just leaving TNA. Whatever the reason was, he wasn't in the game. So I remember looking up and down forums, and I couldn't find a good Christian creation at the time. I was looking for a Cass creation, I couldn't find a good one. I was looking for an Evan Bourne, I couldn't find a good one. So I decided, you know what? I'm gonna start actually trying to make wrestlers and get them on these websites. And to me, as I had to be 12 or 13 at the time, it was like a foreign concept to get a creation that I made on the game, get it looking crisp and a good picture like they had it on the websites, and actually see it on the forum. Like, I didn't know anything about it at the time, I was brand new. So I remember I was collecting action figures at the time, wrestling action figures. I had the deluxe versions, all of that. So I took every action figure I owned, all of the rings, all of the tables, ladders, and everything, and sold them all on eBay. I used that money to buy my first capture card. So now I'm in the game, like I'm really in the game now. I got rid of all of my action figures. I'm strictly just creating wrestlers and I'm taking pictures, and I sucked. And it was one of the craziest things because in my head I was the best wrestling card creator in my city. Like you couldn't tell me anything. And then I would get the feedback and it sucked. Like me looking back at my creations now, they really sucked, a lot of them. But I kept getting the feedback, and I'm young getting this feedback from adults. And it was a lot of times it was strict feedback. It was harsh feedback. It wasn't like, oh, just shoot the nose. It was, this looks like crap. You need to delete it and try again. It's really hard for me to take it. I didn't know what to do, but it wasn't anything I can do but try it. So I got defensive a couple times. And I had to learn how to manage my reactions, how to take in feedback, how to take the feedback and transform it into something new. And that's what I did. So SmackDown vs. Raw 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14. Each year I got better, and 14 is where I stopped. Eventually it just got to the point where when WWE 15 came out, I had to stop. I was so disappointed in what the creation system had become that I just had no energy to dedicate to creating wrestlers anymore for the system, creating arenas, anything. It was really just heartbreaking, to be honest. I hung the boots up for that, and this also is the time when I had just started college. So I was in college, and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. And I was in college for nursing, man, like nursing. Then I switched to undecided. Then I switched to software engineering, switched to undecided, switched to entrepreneurship, switched to undecided. In college I was at, they didn't offer any video game courses at all, like nothing. The closest thing they had was a graphic design course. But I knew at that time, I'm like, man, I'm just not happy. I mean, when I get my degree, I just don't feel like I'm gonna accomplish anything that would make me feel like, yes, you made an accomplishment, or that made no sense what I just said. But it just never really made me feel like I would have any pride once I graduated, and I hated that feeling. So I started working, I was selling shoes at first. I was selling shoes at Nike, and I was able to get the opportunity to work at a mortgage company, a big mortgage company in Michigan. And I got hired because I showed them this stuff I had been working on at home, like creations I was making and stuff like that. And it hit me, right before I got hired, that I think I want to go into video game design. And it was something I didn't realize I wanted to do as a profession until I started doing it all summer long. I literally came back from college for the summer and spent all of my summer creating teams, recreating entire years in 2K. And I went back to WWE 2K, NBA 2K14 at this time because I hated WWE 2K15, as I mentioned. So I just went back into that game and I made so many new teams that were just teams from my childhood. So one thing you'll notice about me, I'm an extremely nostalgic person. I love classic games. I love music that reminds me of times in my life. I love music that reminds me of playing video games and brings back those feelings. So I'm very, very nostalgic. That's why I always make sure I keep my stuff, and when I need inspiration, I go back. But yeah, I just spent all summer creating all of those basketball players, and I was like, what if I could make an actual game? And my younger brother who was there, he was telling me, he was like, you're gonna mess around and make your own video game one day. And I took it as a challenge. I really didn't know if it was possible. I'm like, okay, whatever. So now we get into the real, the good parts of my life where I fell on my ass. I had to learn. I had to adapt very quickly. And I got humbled from these experiences. So that's what I wanted to share with you. Once I knew I wanted to do video game design, I was able to get, a new job now. Actually, no, I lied. I didn't get my new job at the mortgage company yet. I was still selling shoes for another year because I had to go back to college for another year. So this is my second year in college now. And now I know I want to do video game design. So I'm constantly asking people, are there any video game design courses? Any programs, anything I can get in? They're like, no. I'm like, each time it's just like dagger, twist. And then it just got to the point where I knew I had to leave the college. I was on a full ride scholarship at the time, and I knew it wasn't for me. So I had a mentor who was constantly telling me, hey, just stick it out, just do this, just do that. And I kept telling him, no, look, man, it's not for me. This college is not for me. I know what I want to do with my time, and it's not this. It's not being here in this college, taking these courses, feeling all this racial tension for no reason at all. And I decided to go ahead and bounce. And when I decided to bounce, that's when my life really changed, because I had been selling shoes while I was in college there. And when I started my new position, I was really just like, I think I had found my home. But just some of the failures, I really wanted to go over some of the failures with you all that I've experienced that made me who I am today. So, because I'm not gonna give you an entire history, because this would take like an hour, but just some of my failures really quickly were, when I didn't know how to design games, I was the idea person. I knew I had an idea for a game and I wanted to figure out how to bring that idea to life, and I didn't know how to do it myself. So anytime I would get my little paychecks, I would pay people here and there, like $100 a month, and they'd be like, all right, here's what you get. And I'm like, that's it? Like, I expected so much more. But then I realized, once I really started getting experience into this realm, that that's just not how gaming goes. You pay for the quality that you get. You can't be paying people, nothing and expecting Grand Theft Auto. But I didn't know at the time I was still a kid. And I remember it was so many different people, like freelancers, that I went through, and I was getting the perception that they weren't liking to work with me. And I didn't know why at the time, but as I got older, I realized why. Like, me now, I wouldn't have wanted to work for me then, or work with me then, or do any work for me, because I was just really ignorant to the entire industry. I didn't know how anything worked. And then I had expectations that just weren't realistic. And then also, it's not like I had a lot of money to give. Like that, all of those factors just made it undesirable to do anything with me. I remember one time I was so ignorant, and I'm being very transparent with you all now, because this is something I feel you all should just, know about me. I'm not hiding anything from my past or anything like that. But it was a point where I was watching New Legacy's videos when I knew I wanted to build my own wrestling game. And I would always watch New Legacy's videos just to kind of get inspiration. Like, oh, I can do that, I can do that. That's how I was thinking in my head. And five-star pro wrestling. Wait, how you say that? 5-Star Wrestling. I think that's just straight up the name. I remember watching a video of their game, and I was like, oh crap, I wonder if I can buy the game engine that they built and just make it better and do all of this stuff and have the weapons and everything in the wrestling game, and the career mode and the story mode, and create an arena and all this stuff. And so I called. I actually reached out to the owner on Skype, and I asked him, like, how much would you charge for me to just buy a 5-star pro wrestling from you? I was like, I got like $2,000. It's so crazy to just hear myself, like my thought process right now for when I was younger. Because that's the thing about it, failure. We are always gonna fail on things, but I feel like you have to be able to fail fast, learn faster, and then pivot. And that's one of the things that I try to do. Like the mistakes I made in the past, not understanding how much work went into a wrestling game or any video game, not understanding the value of $1, not understanding how software works, not understanding how to 3D model, how to program, how to market, all of these things, how to actually project manage. and when you think about all of these things, and then you realize for a 19-year-old trying to hop into that, you realize how many mistakes have been made, how much money has been lost. It really just makes you humble to see, like, okay, I messed up before. I had these false expectations. I got hit in the face really hard by reality. Now I'm here. What do I do with it? What do I do with this knowledge? What do I do with this experience? Do I just go out and be, a failure that everybody expected me to be when I hopped in? Or do I try to make something of all of that experience and turn it into something greater? So yeah, that's what I did. Once I realized I couldn't buy 5-star wrestling, because that was something I thought I could do for some reason, I decided, okay, I'm gonna make my own wrestling game, and I'm gonna just start teaching myself all types of stuff that I don't know about, but why not? So I bought something called Perception Neuron. It's a mocap suit. I still got them, that's why I'm putting them in my closet. But I bought like 3 suits, and I was like, me and my younger brothers, we just gonna get some couch pillows, put them in the living room, and I'm gonna get the mocap suits, and one weekend we just gonna wrestle. Like I'm just gonna suplex him and all this stuff. And then I'm gonna have all the animation for the wrestling game, and it's gonna work perfectly. I don't know how it works, but I was gonna have a bunch of animations, and I'm sending them to the person, and he's gonna put it all together. Like this is me thinking like back then. That's not how I think now. But I'm just sending it to the person, and he's gonna take all the animations and put them in Universal Fighting Engine, which is a Unity plugin, and just make some adjustments and make my wrestling game, and it's gonna be available for everybody. And I'll have CZW on there, I'll have Ring of Honor on there, I'll have PWG on there, and it's gonna be the best game ever. Like it's gonna be better than Day Reckoning, it's gonna be better than SmackDown Here Comes Pain, it's gonna be better than No Mercy, it's gonna be better than everything. That's how I was thinking back then. There was a moment in time when I tried to do a Kickstarter for what I called at the time indie scene wrestling. That's what the game was going to be. And it was basically what Virtual Basement is creating right now. That's basically what the concept was. And I tried to do a Kickstarter, and I had no experience. And there was a dude who went on my Kickstarter. He went through my history, and he was like, don't give this dude money, he's going to use it for hookers and blow. I took it literal, because I'm like, I don't smoke, I don't do with hookers, any of that. And I realized now it was a figurative statement that, he was basically saying I was gonna get the money and not know what to do with it. And me being older now, I can realize that was an accurate statement. And I'm so grateful that I didn't raise any money for that Kickstarter at that time, because I didn't know what I was doing. I probably would have blown the money. I wouldn't have made a product people would have been proud of. And that's just facts, that's just what it is. And now that I've been able to come to grips with that and realize, you really have to go through things to be able to look at things differently. I can now tell you that the game that I'm working on right now will be something that more than likely will be enjoyed by you. When you have failures, you can have wins as well. And those are some of the failures I had, but when I really started working for that mortgage company, after a year, I started getting my own identity. I realized what I wanted to do, and what that was gaming. And I let my lady know at the time, hey, I'm interested in doing games. How can we make it happen? Like, how can I strictly just do games? So she said, hey, build a game in a week and we can talk. Again, I know nothing about gaming really. Like, I had just been getting my feet wet messing with Unity. I knew how to make characters with Dash, Genesis, that was it. I didn't know how to 3D model properly. I was using Google SketchUp. I didn't know anything about programming, and I was using plugins for a lot of this stuff. So I literally had to just hop into a project and get my feet wet. So I started with Adobe Captivate, which isn't a gaming tool. It's actually something for doing more advanced presentations. It's like PowerPoint on steroids, basically. And what I did with it was I used the logic of the true-false statements to build simulated experience of being on the phone call. Now that might seem very simple, but for me it was something that I'd never done before, and I felt like I could do this, then I could prove, okay, games could work in this environment to help train people. And I went home and started learning Unreal for a week because Captivate, so I was building a bunch of games Captivate for a little minute, but then Captivate stopped working. Like, it wouldn't even open anymore. I couldn't open any of my projects. So I realized at that time, it was time for me to switch to Unreal Engine. I started in Unity first before I started migrating to Unreal, but I got this plugin called Playmaker for Unity, which is a visual scripting tool. And first thing I learned how to do was cut a light on, like walk into a trigger and cut a light on. I'm like, okay, all right, that makes sense. Then the next thing I did was learn how to trigger music to cut on. I'm like, okay, perfect. Then I switched it to Unreal and started doing the same thing. And around this time, this is the same time where SmackDown and Raw really had got rebranded, and they were doing the brand split again. So Finn Balor got called up and AJ Styles was going to SmackDown. It was a crazy time, but all at the same time, I just moved out of my parents' home, and I was moving to my own apartment. So I had an empty apartment complex with my laptop and my TV, and I was just teaching myself game design for at least a month before I really started getting comfortable doing stuff in Unreal. I started messing with Unreal, just making projects for work, and then it got to the point where I'm like, okay, I know what I'm doing now, and I started pumping out. That year I pumped out over 26 training games. They weren't anything special. Now if I rebuilt them, I would definitely do a lot of things differently, especially with array management and stuff like that. But at that moment in time, I felt like, hey, like I'm doing it. I'm literally making games. And I got to the point where I'm like, I'm sick of making training games. I want to make something fun. So I reached out to our marketing department, like the head of marketing at our company, and I asked, can I start making games for public facing attractions? You know, we've been doing a lot of big partnerships. He was like, yeah, you know, we'll figure something out. So a couple months later, we have a deal with Barry Sanders that comes up. He's a legendary Detroit Lions Hall of Famer. And we built the game out for him in 8 days. And it was crazy, his experience, because I had to learn a new game engine, and it was going out to a lot of people, and I had no faith in the project. I was like, hopefully it just gets swept under the rug. I could put it out and people don't see it. And I put it out, and it actually became Snapchat's #1 played ad game at the time. It had over 800,000 people that played it. And of course, you know, it's an ad, like it doesn't matter how many people played it. But what they told us was that it had an average play time of 90 seconds, which for an ad, that's a lot of time. So that was, you know, a great thing that we were happy about. And from there, they were like, do you want to do something for Marvel for Infinity War, which is getting ready to come out. So I also got to make a game for Infinity War. And then NCAA was coming out around that time, and I got to do something with the NCAA mascots and augmented reality and stuff like that. And now I'm just getting to the point where I have so much confidence in my ability, because I had so many failures, I didn't know what I was doing, and then I had to figure it out. And I still hadn't been able to make my wrestling game that I've been wanting to make forever. And then I had 2019 hit me. And 2019, I will forever say this, but 2019 I feel like was my year of transition and progression. I was still living in Detroit 2019. I was in a position at my job that I was feeling kind of stagnant in, because we had people coming in kind of ruining things, and I was feeling stagnant in it. And I was also in college getting ready to get my college degree, and I had been doing that for 3 years. And you know, a couple other life things that were just still feeling the same as previous years, and I felt like it was time for me to kind of move forward in life. And I didn't know that it was naturally going to happen like that, but everything literally just, you know, changed in my life at that time. Personally, things changed. Got a new job. So I actually got fired from my job at the time. It was like everything seemed to happen like in a bad way, but it happened in like much differently. But I got fired from my job because they said it was a lack of work, because I was at a mortgage company doing video games, and they were like, hey, it doesn't make sense anymore. And then the apartment complex I was at, I knew that I was ready to move. Like, I just didn't want to be in Detroit anymore. I was ready to move to Florida. So I was kind of figuring things out there. And then I got my college degree and came out here for my graduation. Like, I got to walk the stage that NXT is performed in. And I still remember, like, I was going crazy. I'm like, man, this is dope. Like, NXT happens in this very room, and I'm walking the stage that Adam Cole walks with, you know, my name on the Titantron that their names plays. It was an insane experience. And I remember walking out of Full Sail Live, looking at the palm trees, and I was telling my family, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and move out here. So then, literally 2 months later, like not even 2 full months, but 2 months later, a month and a half basically, I moved out here. Like, did 17-hour drive with my fiance now. We came all the way from Detroit, all the way to Florida. And I didn't have a job, no guarantee of a job, nothing, just a couple thousand in savings and hope. That's all we had, and faith, you know, faith in our God. So I just remember the time, because I can tell you vividly. I remember applying for jobs, and I wasn't really hearing back, or if I would hear back, it wouldn't be anything I could live off of. It'd be like $8, and I'm like, I can't afford my rent or anything with that, so I had to figure out the plans. And I reached out to one of the advisors at Full Sail, and I told him, like, I'm working on a wrestling game. I love to just meet, you know, network, and that's where things started picking up. I met with him, he's vice president. He hooked me up and, you know, had me apply for a certain position. I got the job, and then 2 weeks into the job, like literally, I didn't even get out of training. I got a call from Disney, and Disney asked if I wanted to work and the internship program. And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. So I was working with Disney for like 3 months, and I had actually got extended for an entire year. They told me I was going to be there for an entire year, but then COVID hit right after 3 months, and they had to shut everything down, like all of the programs down. So yeah, so that's been like my past few months. Is I just finished up at Disney. Sadly, it was very quickly, and I've just been grinding every day, working on Mark Out. It's, you know, went over several transformations, but now I finally feel like I know exactly what the identity of the game is. And now I can actually get into what Mark Out is and explain it a little more. Hopefully I haven't talked your ears off yet. So Mark Out, that's the game you see playing in the background. Actually, you just see a part of the game playing in the background, which is the move creator. So this isn't inside of the game. This is a separate build that I made for people to go ahead and pose their animations and send them over to me so that it can be associated with cards in the game. Mark Out is a trading card game. It is a digital version of a trading card game, being that all the cards are electronic. You don't have anything physical. It's currently just going on Steam and then mobile devices. But the thing that I really love about Mark Out that I think makes it stand out from any other card game is the fact that once you pick the card, so let's say I pick the pedigree, and I throw my pedigree into the game, or, you know, slide it into wherever the game it takes it in the game, it will play the move real time. So this is something that I feel will really bring a lot of matches to life, because it's not just text based, but you actually get to see all of these moves happening, get to feel the impact. You see the ring shape, the camera shape, you hear the sound effects, and I really just feel like it's a cool concept that kind of came to me accidentally. Another thing that I keep is my sketchbook. So I'm frequently sketching out ideas, and this is just like one page. This is how the concept of Mark Out started. I knew I wanted to have basically 2 players, and I knew I wanted them to have cards. And originally I just had it in the ring, but almost like a mini map of the ring up top, where you'd be able to select where you want to do a move, and it would just imagine that the move happened when the card gets thrown out, and you would see your wrestler get hit, like play hit animation. And then I started thinking like, that's kind of boring. I feel if I were to do it, like it feels like it wouldn't stand out, because I've seen so many other games like it, where, you know, you have 2 people and you get hit by a card and they react or whatever. And I just felt like it's got to be something different I can do. And kept messing around with another project I was doing, which was a action figure, digital action figure thing, where you could actually pose the digital action figures and all of that stuff in the wrestling ring. And that's what spawned this. So I started making a move creator for Mark Out first, where I can go ahead and create my own animations and go ahead and see how it looks. You know, I just kind of started messing around with it first, and then eventually I was like, all right, I like this. I like how it comes out. So that was, you know, the second step. And then the third step was with my project that I was calling Spot Callers, where I was putting everything together, but it was a turn-based game, and I just didn't know how it was going to flow or anything like that. And I had just been making all these creation tools for it, create an arena, create a wrestler, and I just started thinking like, man, if you upgrade a card, it'd be cool if you had a vertical suplex and another card, and you upgraded it, and it became a superplex. And then that's when I really started cooking, because now I'm like, okay. What if it's a card game? You have all of your cards, but now you merge cards real time to create new cards in the match. And then when you throw the card out, the move plays real time. And I kind of pieced everything together, and now we have Mark Out as it is now. But I'm definitely excited for how far the project has come in this short amount of time. I really didn't start working on Mark Out as it is right now until February, March, and my position ended in April. So it had like, what, probably 6 or 7 months. I didn't do any math, so forgive me if I'm way off. Oh wait, it's 8. It's 8 for, so probably like 5 or 6 months I've had of development time on it. And right now the game has over 100 different moves inside of it. The card designs are pretty much temporary right now. All of the art in the game is very temporary. I actually have an amazing graphic design company that I'll be working with in the next coming month, up in September, the end of September, probably through October, to get the branding for the game, get all of the art together, and really just start piecing really just start piecing it all together and make it a finalized project. So right now I'm actually making this video because I didn't have anything up talking about the project, talking about myself or anything, and I'm sure people were just wondering like, why do you keep dropping all of this stuff? But you might have seen some of my work. I worked on with Leo Rush on that Lost video. I did all of the animation and basically the creative direction of the video, and then also his last match, my final match album. I did all the video game marketing where it looked like it was kind of like Here Comes the Pain with the select screen and selecting wrestler. I did that, and just a couple other small projects here and there while I've been working on this. Also, I've done some virtual reality work, so you might have also seen I have created a virtual reality entrance simulator where you can drop the headset on and get dropped inside of NXT or the classic SmackDown arena or classic Raw arena or AEW arena and come out as the wrestlers. And it's actually a pretty cool experience. The only version I've released is the classic SmackDown version, but if you have an Oculus Rift and you're interested, just let me know. We can definitely see if I can get it up for you. But yeah, if you are interested in playing Mark Out in its current state, building moves, any of that, make sure you join the Discord. That's the reason why I wanted to make, another reason I wanted to make this video was so that people who are interested can know where to go, because it might just be hard to find it. So definitely check out the Discord. I'll drop the link in the YouTube description. I also drop my Twitter in the YouTube description and my Instagram in the YouTube description. And hopefully you all can get engaged, man. The only thing I'm asking for, honestly, I'm not asking for any monetary money right now. I'm not starting another Kickstarter. I do have a Patreon if you're interested, but what I really want to ask for right now is just an opportunity. I would love for people to get this game a chance. You know, don't just write it off. It's not a Supercard clone at all. It's actually nothing like Supercard. And I really want people to give it a chance for its individuality and see, like, this game might actually be something cool, something I can play, something that I can see myself collecting cards in, playing matches in, and really just have a good time in. So definitely let me know if you have any moves you want to see in the game, any cards, any ideas for features if they can be implemented. I'll definitely let you know on that. And also I stream on Twitch basically Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, and Sundays. So if you're ever just interested in like watching the Twitch stream where I'm live developing, definitely check me out on those days. My Twitch also has all of my archived episodes because I've been streaming for the past year. So definitely check out those and you can see just small progress and small steps I've been making and taking. But this game is built 100% from scratch. I didn't use anybody else's project to build this on. The only thing that I've been working externally with is now the graphic design, because I can make graphic design, but I don't feel like it'll be to the level that I want this game to be at. So that's definitely something that I was like, okay, let me go ahead and outsource that. But I've been rambling, so let me go ahead and end this video. I apologize for the lack of organization. I took a lot of notes on things I wanted to hit. This is really a last minute video today, and now I gotta actually get to work. So appreciate you for taking the chance to take an opportunity to listen to it. Have a great day. Peace.